What's new in Bizagi version 10.7? Customizing a task to be completed via email. In Bizagi version 10.7, you can easily configure any manual task and enable an assigned user to complete it via email. This functionality is known as email integration. When email integration in a task is enabled, the assigned user will receive a pre-configured email. The user can reply by clicking on one of the buttons in the email. Bizagi will then process and complete the task, moving the process forward. With this functionality comes 1. Simplicity. Nowadays, people always are checking their emails, so approving a task via email is a natural business instinct. 2. Portability. Users can approve or reject by just logging into their email accounts using any device. What do you need to do in order to use email integration in your process? Consider a purchase request process. When someone submits a purchase request, the supervisor must decide whether to approve or reject that request. As the request is submitted, a task called Authorize Request is allocated in Bizagi. The supervisor receives an email containing the request information as well as buttons to make the decision. In this case, there are 2 buttons, Approve and Reject. When the supervisor clicks on either button, a reply message will display. He or she can enter comments about the decision and then send the email. A notification of whether the email has been processed correctly or not is also displayed. Finally, Bizagi will move on to the next activity. Let's proceed with the global configuration at Bizagi Studio. Select the Configuration tab. Then select the Environment option. In the Popular tab, you must configure the email integration components. In the Popular menu, there are 2 sections: the Notification options and the Email integration options. In the Notification options, you'll define the parameters in order to send the emails from an SMTP server. It's important to click on Enable Emails option so your application can send emails. In the Email integration options, you'll define the parameters necessary not only to enable lookup, but also to connect to the email server. Bear in mind that these elements should be provided by the IT area of your organization based on the company's email server configuration. Click on Enable Lookup Email so your application can look up and review the emails from your email client. Now that you've set up the global configuration, let's follow these steps in order to use this convenient functionality. 1. Enable Form buttons. To do this, go to the 3rd step, Define Forms, in the Process Wizard of Bizagi Studio. Select the activity Authorize Request and click on the Forms buttons option. Once this option is enabled, a button will display in the ribbon called Email Configuration. 2. Enable Email Execution. Click the Email Configuration option at the top of the menu. Now select the option Enable Email Execution. If this is not selected, no email will be sent. Keep in mind that if it's enabled, an email will be sent even if there is no template created. 3. Configure the email to be sent. Enter a subject and a body for the email. After enabling the Enable Email Execution option, you can click Edit Message and a new window called Email Definition will be displayed. Here, you can enter the subject and the body of the email message that the supervisor is going to receive. Keep in mind that no controls of the form will be included in the email. However, form buttons that have been configured with the Next property will be automatically included. We'll show you how to configure those form buttons at a later step. 4. Configure Success or Failure Notification. You can configure a notification to inform the supervisor if the activity was completed successfully or not. To do this, check the boxes Receive Success Notification and Receive Failure Notification to inform the supervisor if the email's response was successfully processed or if there were any problems when it was sent to Bizagi. 5. Select an Xpath for the user's response. Users can enter comments in the reply email. These are stored in an attribute of the data model. The comments given by the supervisor are stored in the attribute Comments. When you're done, click Save to close the configuration window. 6. Configure the form buttons that will complete the task. By default, Bizagi displays 2 buttons at the footer of each activity. These buttons are Save and Next. Form buttons is a feature that allows users to customize these default buttons and add new ones. These buttons can execute business rules, validate data, save the form, and advance the activities. In this example, we need 2 form buttons, accept and reject. These buttons must have the next property enabled because they will be included in the email. If the required controls are present in the form, we recommend using the rules in the form button to automatically include the information for those controls. Each button will have the next action configured and a rule to set the request state accordingly. For the Approve button, we'll have a rule to set the approved state. The expression contains the following statement. After this, we configure the Form button action as Next. The Reject button will be the same as the Approve button. First, we configure the rule to set the Reject state, and then we configure the Form button action as Next. At this point, we've already completed all the necessary steps to use email integration in our purchase request process. Now let's go to the Work portal and test it. Here we'll create a new purchase request. So John Smith, our supervisor, will approve or reject the request via email. The email received will look like this. The supervisor has to approve or reject the request. If he or she chooses to respond via email, this activity will be completed, and the process flow will continue. Continue learning about email integration using the Help section.